It is almost 12 midnight. Well, at least at the time of this recording, it's 12 midnight. I just couldn't sleep, so I needed to flesh out my thoughts. That's why I'm doing this recording right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to talk while I figure this issue out in my head. And I don't even know if this is going to make it to the podcast. But if it does, that means that my thoughts are coherent. But I don't expect much coherence in my thoughts right now because I'm doing this as I go along. I'm just talking to flesh out and to figure out things in my head. I think I already said that. But anyway, I'm figuring out this specific topic of diversity is our strength, woo stuff, multiculturalism, immigration, no borders, and this issue. It's a complicated issue and it's highly political. So I think we should give a lot of thoughts about this issue. First off, I have several assumptions. One of them is that cultures develop because you have a border, or we have a border. And this idea of multiculturalism will eventually destroy the cultures that we enjoy. Why? To have a culture, a distinct culture, you must have a border that separates cultures and tribes from each other. And because of this border, eventually, these tribes will develop their unique identity and their unique values and their unique set of practices. And this is only made possible because you have a separation from another culture. Now, you have multiculturalism, which basically says that culture will exist side by side. Yeah, sure, we have that right now. No? I mean, we all have these cultures side by side in their own countries. We're enjoying the culture of other people from our own respective cultures, right? But multiculturalism, coupled with uncontrolled, unlimited immigration with zero border controls, zero border security, like nothing at all. Europeans even don't want to have borders. What is going to happen is that when you have unlimited immigration, unlimited uncontrolled immigration to a country under the pretense or the pretext of multiculturalism and diversity is our strength, kumbaya, woo-woo stuff, and all of this, what is going to happen is you're going to dilute the host culture into something else. And if you remove the border that is separating the countries together, you will not have the distinct identity of that particular culture that you are removing the border from and diluting with unlimited immigration. I don't know if that makes sense to you, but the thing is, we say that diversity is our strength. And diversity and cultures, different cultures intermingle and mix into one geographic location will enrich each other. The problem is most of the people just imagine Indian restaurants and all of this stuff in the city and experiencing different culture in a way of food, in a way of items that they could buy, in a way of place and different looking people. But the thing is, if you do that, you not only dilute the population, but also what is going to happen eventually if you mix a lot of people into the host population, eventually you are going to change the culture, the host culture of that country. So the culture that you are now enjoying in that host country will cease to exist in the future because you keep on piling immigrants and other cultures in it. So this idea of diversity, multiculturalism, blah blah, kumbaya, let's hold hands, woo woo stuff, whatever. Eventually, it's going to destroy itself. It's going to defeat its purpose. But you can argue that, it's going to create a new culture. It's going to be a melting pot and whatever, whatever. But let me ask you this. Where is the study that is proving that diversity is our strength? Nada. Rien. Zilch. Nothing. Zero. But what we do have is the evidence to the contrary. Just look at our turbulent world history. What do we have? When two different cultures to be more specific, of different levels meet, what usually happens? Or let me correct that, I misspoke. When two different cultures meet, what did usually happen in history? When the Europeans met the Indians, what happened? Well, when you have two cultures that are so different from each other meet, they usually result to violence, or the encounter usually results in conflict. And did you notice that homogeneous populations usually don't have the problem of a diverse, multicultural, and mixed culture? For example, they don't have social issues that the US have in, for example, Japan. Japan is a pretty homogeneous population, and they don't have the same societal and diversity issues as is in the US, for example. And I don't get this insanity of Europeans that they are calling, oh, you know what? Europe needs more diversity, so we need to bring millions of migrants from the third world and just, get rid of all the borders and just let them all come in. The crazy thing is that nobody will say and nobody will mention is that Europe, the EU, the entire continent is so diverse. It's very diverse. It doesn't need more diversity. In fact, you need to preserve the diversity in Europe. I mean, the person who ever said that Europe is not diverse enough is severely misguided and severely biased, I should say, or they just don't know Europe. They never been to Europe. They've never read any books, and they've never met Europeans before. I mean, the entire continent, you have the French, you have the Germans, you have the Scandinavians, you have the Italians, you have the Spaniards, you have the Portuguese, you have the Croatians. So whoever said that Europe is not diverse enough and needs more diversity is severely mistaken. Because you have so many languages in Europe, you have so many types of cuisines, you have so many different types of people in Europe. But the thing is, what people are saying when they say Europe needs more diversity is that Europe needs more colored people. Europe is white. And under our current political climate and our current political view is that white people are evil and therefore we should replace them with other people. It's just that. It's crazy that people think that. But what can we do? What can we do? This is how people think, and it is unfortunate that the vast majority of the people in the world don't even realize this and don't even know what they're asking for. They don't know that when they say more diversity in Europe, what they're actually saying is not more diversity, but more black or more colored people. They want to replace the white population in Europe. It's anti-white, and that's what it is. And to me, this is a form of racism and xenophobia. Well, probably not xenophobia, but definitely racism against the white population of Europe. Europe, the EU, has a very low birth rate. Germany, for example, has, I think, 1.8 or 1.9 their fertility rate. And in order for your culture, your civilization to be sustainable in the future, you need a birth rate or fertility rate of 2.1. And Germany is 1.8. And the entire continent of, not the entire continent, but the EU has an average of below 2.1. I think it's 1.9 or 1.87, something like that. So what's going to happen is that if you replace them with migrants that has a fertility rate of something around 3.5, 5.6, 2.3, 3.2, what is going to happen eventually is the native European population will die out and they will be replaced by the immigrants that have a higher fertility rate. They actually want to replace Europe. Now you can argue that, hey, you know what? We need workers and we need someone to do the menial jobs that Europeans won't do. As an immigrant and as someone from the Eastern Bloc, from a poor Eastern Bloc and from a poor family and from a poor upbringing, this is incredibly insulting. You are telling me that you want me to go to your country to do menial jobs, to clean your toilets and to collect garbage? This is what third worlders or third world migrants are for? This is how you think of them? Just, I don't know what to call it. It's racist? I don't even know it. No, it's not racist. Classist? Oh, what is this? It's incredibly insulting to tell a third world migrant, a poor person, is that you can immigrate to my country because we need people to clean our toilets, to collect the garbage, and to do menial manual labor. And the high-paying jobs, the more prestigious jobs, are reserved for other people except you, the immigrant. What is that? I don't even know what these people are thinking. Do they want to replace the native white population, or do they just want more immigrants to do these manual laborers? Probably both, if not more of the latter. As I've said, if it is the latter, it's incredibly insulting. Sometimes I don't know what to think of this issue because it's hard to talk of these things to other people because the issue has been incredibly politicized and the world is descending into this insanity probably brought about by postmodernists, and the world is in a grip of this irrationality that I could not explain. I don't know what else. For the moment, I don't know, but this issue of diversity, multiculturalism, no borders, and immigration is just so insane and so hard to talk about without being branded as a racist or as a xenophobe. So I don't know. This is a rant, so as you can see, it's a bit disconnected, my voice, but what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to figure out things as I'm talking to you right now. Man, it's almost midnight and I have to sleep, but I could not sleep because something has been bothering me, and this issue has been bothering me for a while. And the more I think about it, the more insane it gets, and the more insane it gets, the more I could not understand. I just could not understand how a lot of people can stand for this. I was talking to my former girlfriend. She's French. And she got pissed with me because I don't agree with her. And I thought that Marine Le Pen has good ideas, and she just called me an outright racist. No borders. Can you imagine? No borders, and you have so many immigrants that are not even victims of war. You need to help these people from the third world because they are victims of war. So that was the rhetoric. They are asylum seekers, but the problem there is asylum seekers, or at least how the UN defines it, does not, the definition of an asylum seeker is not someone fleeing war in their countries. These people, they don't even fit the definition of an asylum seeker. And I know this was said so many times before, but if they are asylum seekers, where are the children? Where are the women and children? And are people in the West not aware, or is this willful blindness, that God, you know that the immigrants, or the throes of, or this population of immigrants immigrating to Europe in these dingy boats are infiltrated with terrorists, and yet they are ramping up this immigration and they are calling for no borders? That is actually insane. And I will not understand. Well, I do understand the rationale of these people and their arguments, but still, despite the fact, I don't know why they still argue what they argue. I just don't know. Maybe you tell me. You tell me.
You should know.